Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and in this video we're going to dive into Cardano. Then specifically the price action of ADA. It has had a significant boost of over 12% in the last 24 hours. We're going to dive into the technical analysis on this particular project to see exactly what's been going on, and of course some fantastic news that is due to land later this week. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new, make sure you do subscribe, tap the bell and select all notifications. In doing so, you will not miss another Cardano update. Right, with that said, done and out of the way, let's jump on down to the desktop and start taking a look at what has been going on most recently with the price action of ADA. Okay guys, so here we are. This is Cardano to the USDT. This is the weekly chart and Binance is the data source. And obviously we've seen significant bump with the ADA price discovery or recovery, I should say, in the previous kind of 7 days, over 31% to be exact. And of course, the last 24 hours has seen over 12% in gains. Now, obviously on this weekly chart, there's loads of things I want to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to cover some of the interesting stuff, the news that has been released based on what Charles Hoskinson has been talking about in the last few hours. Now, what we're talking about here, of course, is everything to do with Goguen and ultimately smart contracts. So Cardano reveals the smart contracts launch date will be revealed on Friday. This is going to be, again, another massive boost for Cardano. And again, these smart contracts are something that we've been talking about for quite some time, but have a huge impact on not just Cardano's ecosystem, but pretty much on the entire space as a whole. So I'm going to quickly get into this one, and I'm going to cover off what this actually means for Cardano and potentially some of its competitors before we get into the technical analysis to know exactly what's going on and whether or not a pullback is going to happen or we're going to continue this surge to the upside. Now, Cardano founder and IOG CEO Charles Hoskinson said that the much awaited Cardano smart contracts will be launched at a date to be announced this Friday. Now, that's not to be mistaken. The smart contracts are not launching on Friday. It's the date will be released of when the smart contracts will launch, and that'll be this Friday. Now, this is obviously a huge milestone for a couple of reasons. One, obviously loads of, I guess, naysayers out there really kind of being down on Cardano, saying that it's always delays. If they're actually going to be announcing a release date, they're pretty confident at that point that things are likely to be moving ahead progressively without any kind of major hiccups, which means some of the testing that's already occurred and happened must have gone through pretty swimmingly. I haven't heard of many issues, and any small bugs must have been fixed. To have an actual release date for this particular project and really anchor it in really will hopefully be a strong indication of things to come for the Cardano ecosystem. So the date will be before the 2021 Cardano Summit Conference, which is already registering participants online. Okay, so in the video that Charles did, he just wanted to make a very quick video telling you guys a few things. So we had our big meeting today, and we kind of went through where we're at the progress with smart contracts. We had a lot of discussions with partners and other people, and it looks like we are on track for Friday to announce the date. We feel very comfortable with the date, and I think it is a very achievable date, and I think the community is going to be quite happy about it. So it's going to be interesting times. Can't wait for Friday to roll around to know exactly what this actually is looking like. I'm not going to go into kind of all this other stuff here. It's just general information, whereas I feel this is really the big piece, right? So ultimately getting this date on the smart contracts are absolutely massive. And it's massive for a couple of things, because obviously we've been talking about the Goguen era for quite some time. And it's all about smart contracts, right? And there's so many moving parts when it comes to Goguen, right? You have obviously Plutus Core, Marlow. You obviously have the KEVM, you got 𝗖𝗢𝗠, the Plutus ebook. There's so many things that are going on here in this particular era. The Alonzo hard fork combinator event is going to be one of those milestones within this particular era. So smart contracts, and these actually launching on the mainnet, this is going to be fantastic. So that release date is going to be absolutely critical. And obviously we'll be talking about scalability after that as we go into the Basho, or look to usher in the Basho era. And this is again all about scalability, right? After after 𝗗𝗘𝗪. So for smart contracts, it's absolutely key. For everything that's going on over in Africa, Ethiopia, obviously that scaling is going to be crucial. So for now, we need to fully focus in on those smart contracts, get them nailed, and then obviously start thinking about what 𝗕𝗓𝗓 looks like, and get that prototype out there and actually start testing that stuff, because the scalability is going to be crucial as this particular ecosystem develops over the next few years. Now, the reason that smart contracts are so vital and why this is very disruptive to the entire space, and potentially why you're seeing such a huge spike with Cardano's ADA right now, is to do with this. Over 100 companies will be looking to shift from Ethereum to Cardano. This is something that we've referenced quite a bit. This came out back in March when Charles Hoskinson was talking about there are over 100 companies that want to migrate. Obviously, the gas fees and all the kind of issues that are over there with Ethereum are basically causing a bit of disruption in terms of their day-to-day businesses. So moving to a platform where you can potentially save thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in the case of some of these dApps that are running on Ethereum, millions of dollars in fees, it makes business sense to migrate over. And obviously you can only migrate over once you have smart contract functionality. So obviously when we start talking about smart contracts, Alonzo hard fork, 𝗗𝗘𝗪's era, there's going to be a huge disruption to the space, and obviously Ethereum is going to have a little bit of market share taken away. It's going to go over onto the Cardano ecosystem. You're going to potentially start seeing it from a few other places as well, and of course all the new projects that are also going to be built upon the network. All of these things are catalysts for change, and why we're seeing a bit of a price spike right now. Ultimately for Cardano, there are obviously lots of people saying that they're not going to release it before October the 1st, and I feel that ultimately anyone who is thinking that it was going to be delayed, I feel they're probably going to lose that bet if they were taking part. Again, not really big into gambling, so I don't recommend any of that kind of nonsense. But nonetheless, Cardano is definitely starting to really kind of hit the nail on the head on so many things. And if they do get this one sorted and across the line on time and by this release date that they're going to give out on Friday, these 100 companies are going to be primed and ready to start thinking about moving over from Ethereum to Cardano to save so much money on absolute nonsense worth of fees, let alone all of the additional fantastic technology. And to quote Dr. Ben Goertzel from Singularity.net, who has moved over or is in the process of moving over from Ethereum to Cardano, he says it's just simply superior technology, and it's that reason alone you're going to start seeing a lot more migration. So I think this is a fantastic thing. I think it's also very, very important that we obviously do tune in on Friday to find out when this date actually is, and hopefully it's going to be towards the end of August, beginning of September, in line with what Charles Hoskinson has been talking about for quite some time. These are going to be crucial timelines. Now, obviously, we want to talk about what's going on with the price action, the technical analysis. In order to do this, I think it's also important that we touch on the 𝗲𝗡 dashboard. The 𝗲𝗡 dashboard does give us a bit more of an insight from an artificial intelligence and machine learning perspective. Here we can obviously see that the fear and greed index for Cardano is right up there as an A1 rating. It's the best it can be. And I can zoom in here just to make this a little bit clearer. You can see the progression that this has made since the end of July, beginning of August. In the last few weeks, this fear and greed index for Cardano has been performing incredibly well. The same can be said for those moving averages up there at an A2 rating. So again, fantastic moves have been made in terms of keeping things above those averages. Now the Sharpe ratio, B2 rating, I'll zoom in, guys, because obviously we were below the 50-day average for a little while. We are now spiked above that. We're showing positively here on the Sharpe ratio, which is nice to see. The same for the peak end value demand, and the profitability hasn't really changed. It's still up there as an A1 rating, the best profitability you can see. Now, obviously, this profitability, the return on your investment, is performing well, and we're starting to move back in the up direction. So I think the correction of way forward definitely seems to be now way past us, with Bitcoin obviously having to retest some key areas. 48k is another interesting area for Bitcoin we want to see close above. But again, I have been talking for a while, the space is going to need to cool off at some point. We are going to have to start seeing some kind of recovery and a little bit of a pullback, not the kind of pullback that we've seen previously, but a bit of a sideways trading in order to allow some of the technicals to cool down, because ultimately we're overbought on so many charts right now. We are expecting pullbacks to occur shortly, so do be careful, don't leverage and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a financial advisor, but I don't use leverage. I find it far too risky in these particular markets. With that being said, the AMI-HUD ratio for Cardano is a rating of D. That's the only thing really affecting the overall rating of B1 right now, but I think that's down to basically so much of it being delegated. It's the world world's most decentralized network through their basically delegation and their validators, basically so many validators, so much delegation, and a really good passive returns. And on that note, if you're not delegating or looking to change to a new validator, we do run a cheeky Cardano pool. So go ahead and check out the ticker cheek, and you'll find our pool in there. I'm not overly sure what the stats are. Chris normally looks after the Cardano pool. I tend to look after the Harmony one a little bit more. But yeah, I think we're doing pretty well. So do check that out if you're looking for change or if you're looking to earn a passive income. Right, with that being said, let's take a look at the technical data here for Cardano. Now, obviously on this weekly chart, we are paired against the USDT and we are using Binance as the data source. Now, what's really interesting about this is we're still oversold on the weekly chart. We've had fantastic growth, 31% in the last 7 days, and yet we are still oversold, which means the progression on this weekly chart is going to be absolutely monumental. I think we're going to really see some significant price surges when it comes to Cardano. And this weekly chart is anything to go by. We can obviously see what happened in the third wave. The fifth wave I have estimated at $10. The Fibonacci retracement tool with the extension of the 4.236 does indicate $7.20. So again, these are key things that we're looking for. But looking at how much we've surged recently, pushing up against that $1.78 right now, looks like we have potential to really go after that $10. Might even spike further beyond this. I think it's going to be an interesting second half of the year as we close Q3, go into Q4, and Cardano is definitely primed and ready to go. There's a few things we do want to talk about on the smaller time frame, so we're going to get into those in a moment. But I really did want to call out the fact that we are still oversold here on the weekly chart, because if you're ever in doubt, it's always best to zoom out, understand where we are going as an investor. I like to know where I'm going to be ending the financial year, or specifically the calendar year, and obviously look at where the bull run is likely to end. Now, when we talk about historically, Bitcoin normally finishes its run in December. Altcoins usually go a little bit after that. So again, January, February, March, around that time. All altcoins never go at the same time. Money moves around the market quite a bit. Everyone's trying to squeeze the last little bits out before we go into a bear market. And the bear market's going to be absolutely critical because that is where your money is made. You're made dollar cost averaging very significant positions. Right, and guys, join us for the bear market because we have some interesting things going on once we get into 2022. Right, let's get back into Cardano. Let's jump down into our daily chart. And here, this is where we obviously have the Fibonacci retracement tool. We can talk about that all day long, but obviously that goes all the way up there to $7.20. But what we want to talk about is this resistance line, the resistance of $1.83. This $1.83 is the milestone that we're really going to be coming up against. That's the barrier. But I think looking at how some of these technicals are actually forming, I think we're going to push past this by the end of the week. And this could be really interesting. I think we're going to basically pull back a little bit. I think we're probably going back down and retest maybe that $1.73 area, okay, this 50% retracement zone, and then have enough momentum to go ahead and push after this basically 618 area, this $1.90. This is where the work really starts, guys, because ultimately everything down here is recovery, right? But when we talk about bullish sentiment and really being, bullish on where we're going, this area is where we are looking to kind of really push up ahead and is a strong signal, right? So if we can get a closed candle just above the 786, this is $2.15. So up here above this yellow box area, this is where we're going to start to really see price discovery for Cardano. Now, this is going to be an area of major resistance for us, even a little bit further beyond this 183. And this is because these are key areas within the technicals that basically resonate with so many different traders. And so you're going to find resistance points. You can see there was a little bit here, and you can see there's a little bit over here as well. We haven't actually retested this for quite some time. Now, the 618 is an area that we have tested. We tested it over here. We tested it over here and we got rejected. And that's really where this 183 comes in. So right now we have to be aware that this area is the area that most of the work is going to have to happen. So we want to make sure that we have a few things under our belts before we do go up there. And we don't want to get rejected from here and have a bit of a pullback all the way back down here below 183. So we'd rather have the pullback, the testing of this area today or tomorrow, this week or whatever, to allow us then to come up into this yellow box area really, really strongly. With all that being said, however, what we can do, of course, is actually take a look at what's going on with some of these other technicals. We can obviously throw on the Bollinger Bands and see what that's looking like. We can see here that we are starting to surge just above the upper band here. So again, this is an interesting tell. We can see this is what was happening over here. We surged above it, we traded sideways for a bit of recovery, and then we took it up a little bit higher. And if we have something similar, that could really get us into this recovery zone over here. So again, with Bollinger Bands are also a good indication for things to come. Now, the stochastic relative strength index is overbought. As I said, we're oversold on the weekly, but overbought on the daily, right? They're not in consensus with each other. So we have to obviously be aware that a pullback is natural, or momentum is natural to be lost here on our daily chart. But this is the daily, right? And again, it's important that we also acknowledge what is going on with the hourly chart. Okay, so this is where most of the work and the magic has been happening recently on so many of these particular projects. Here you can see that we actually started to trade sideways, and you can already tell that the momentum is being lost from that stochastic relative strength index. We haven't damaged the price, guys, and that's the beauty of this, right? We've basically been allowed us to trade sideways, and that basically takes the momentum right the way out of our stochastic, and then it allows us to basically go and push on up again. So now this $1.83 looks like a very prime target to go and turn it into a good strong support line. And if we do this, then I think they'll be above this area of the yellow box really soon. Some interesting things are likely to happen. I think Friday is going to be an absolute catalyst for change as well, so one to be watching out for. Now, why did we have this surge? I think there was a couple of things that were going on. Technically, there was a really messy, I guess, head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder pattern here on the hourly chart. Not the best, but it is there. And as a result of this, we saw a breakout. But this breakout also happened at the same time as Charles Hoskinson dropping so many recent news updates. And as a result of that, I think these are all catalysts that really tied together nicely to continue the push to the upside. Now, I know Charles Hoskinson doesn't tend to talk about price too much. He doesn't like it, but it is coincidental at the same time that he has dropped news articles at the point of reaching this neckline here of this inverse head and shoulders. Nonetheless, we've seen a really strong price surge for Cardano's ADA, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. Right now, we are approaching the oversold area on the stochastic relative strength index. We're trading sideways. Things are priming up and ready to move back to the upside. I think we're going to basically turn this $1.83 into a good strong support line, and then from there, what we're looking to do is basically target and basically get into this this yellow box area, the 618. The 702 and the 786. A closed candle above 215 is what we're looking for. That's the strong bull signal that really does take this to the next level. And if we can get up there by the close of Sunday, it means that next week is going to be a very strong week for Cardano. But if we're ever in doubt, it's always important that we do zoom out, because ultimately this is what, as investors, we look at. We like to look at what is going on long term. The short term stuff is great to know where everything is moving along nicely, and we want to make sure that everything isn't going to be, pulled from us, based on some kind of strange news or anything like that. So we have to be aware of what's going on, but we do not act emotionally. Instead, we understand where the journey is taking us. How long, it's really difficult to say, but historically speaking, it's been December, January, February. Those are key months for many of these cryptocurrencies. So again, we're mindful. We have good targets. We will be dropping for the members an exit strategy video for Cardano, so do watch out for that one, and we'll go through our kind of strategy on how much to liquidate at certain areas, at least what we tend to do, and then obviously leaving a little bit in the bag for overextensions. And then of course, if you're going to be around in the bear market, this is where the money is made, join us. We're going to go through a lot of strategies on building and dollar cost averaging very strong positions ahead of what is to come in 2025. And if you're interested in the Cardano 2025 price prediction, check the channel out. We did that video a few days ago, and it's got some interesting targets for what Cardano is looking like in 2025. And guys, if you found this useful and informative, then do hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new, make sure you have subscribed, tapped the bell and selected all notifications, and you will not miss another Cardano update. Guys, with this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.